What is poppin', fight fans? You know what time it is? It is the Mystic Hour coming straight at you on the MMA Island. I am the man, not the legend, maybe one day the legend. Darnell Giovanni, Mystic Black Baby. But I got the legendary Nick Marcus on one of these groupie sides over here. What up, Nick?
I don't know about legendary, but relaxed. It's
Relax.
it's nice coming at you guys here on vacation from Savannah, Georgia. It's been good. Although I've been eating a lot, so good thing I'm not weighing in this Friday.
Must be nice. Must be nice. Same thing with me. I've been eating like a crazy person. But that's because I'm stuck in this darn house. But hopefully soon I can take some kind of vacation. But we had a really good card this past weekend. UFC 259. You see that right there. 3 champions took on each other. We had some really good fights, some controversial ones, and some ones that I guess we could have predicted easily, but we made some fun out of it just to see if the other person could win. But we're going to talk about that more specifically. But let's start off with the main event. Israel Adesanya, the middleweight champion, taking on Jan Blachowicz, who is a 205 light heavyweight champion. He defeated Dominick Cruzs to become in. And a lot of people kept speaking as if he was just like a paper champ. He was just holding his space there. But he won in there, and he took out one of the greatest fighters in the planet right now. Nick, what was the most surprising thing you got from that fight?
You know, I can't say, I mean, not to put myself on a pedestal here, but I picked Jan Blachowicz. So, I mean, I can't say I was.
Blachowicz, we got to put respect on his name.
I think that right. Exactly. Like, so I think what was the most surprising was I thought Adesanya's style was surprising. You know, he's usually rather quick. I know that he could be defensive. Like when I think about the fight he had with Yoel Romero, I think that obviously like he took his time there, and I was just surprised to see him go like that with this fight too, especially given that he's usually a fast fighter and Jan Blachowicz is a slow fighter. I thought he was going to come out with him with more speed, more angst, but no, I think what happened was that I don't want to say he played it safe, but I don't know. It just seemed unusual for him not to go for it like he usually does.
I actually was not surprised that he took that kind of approach. I didn't think Israel Adesanya was going to come at him hard or go crazy because he's moving up in weight. He's fought at a heavier weight class before in kickboxing. From that weight he just fought at to heavyweight, a lot of different weight styles that he knows of. So I feel like he had the knowledge to go in there and be a little bit more tactical, but definitely maybe try to catch him at some point. Maybe overly patient, but I wasn't totally surprised. And
yeah,
he knows.
I think that's what I meant. You know, like it's not so much because obviously, you know, it's a new opponent. He's gonna try to read him first. But I was surprised to see him not go for it more often.
Absolutely, and people forget Jan Blachowicz hits very hard. He hits very, very hard. He has knocked out a lot of guys. That is something that he has in his repertoire that he can do. And Israel being the smaller guy, if he would have cracked him with something really hard, it could have been the end of his night. Did he know he caught him a couple times, but nothing super clean because Israel Adesanya has a really good boxing style. But we have to give Jan, of course, all the credit in the world for what he did in that cage because a lot of people doubted him. I doubted him myself, and I thought Izzy was going to go in there and just dominate. But now that Jan has gotten past Israel Adesanya, let me ask you this. Is he cemented his legacy yet because he beat one of the greatest fighters right now? Or does he have to beat a couple more people to cement his legacy? Because if you think about it, his biggest wins came against guys who came from 185, such as Luke Rockhold and now Israel Adesanya. Does he have to win a couple more fights to cement his legacy officially?
I mean, I think Israel, even after coming off a loss this weekend, I think Israel is still the best fighter in the world right now. Maybe it was just something new for him, which is why he didn't get the win this week. But I mean, beating Israel Adesanya, I think it solidifies his case, but I don't know if it solidifies his position as far as, you know, one of the greatest in that division and everything like that. I think he has to win a couple more. I mean, I think it's pretty much settled that he's gonna fight Glover Teixeira next. You know, most people aren't too happy about that because of Glover's age, but I think that's nonsense. Glover's a fantastic fighter. He deserves to get that chance. And if he beats him and then maybe one more guy, I think that's unfortunately when everybody's going to finally start putting some respect on his name. I think that they should do it right now, but unfortunately, for some reason, people. I mean, I saw people, and I get it. I mean, I know there's a lot of Adesanya fanboys out there, but I didn't really necessarily like the reaction. Some of the reaction with the result of the fight. People acting like as if like Adesanya got robbed, and he didn't. Yeah, he didn't get a complete beatdown, but I think it's pretty safe to say that Jan won that fight.
Yeah, definitely pretty safe, but the scorecards were
Oh yeah,
absolutely
that was ridiculous. Yeah.
ridiculous. 49, 45, 49. Weird scorecards. What was going on there? What was happening? I was expecting to hear 48, 47, 48, 47, something
Right.
along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
If you 48, 46, I would have been completely upset, but there was no dominant round. Every time that Jan took down Israel, it was closer to the end of the round. If you are not dominating a whole entire round, that is not a 10-8 round. You can't just be throwing those like it's nothing. That's going to take away from a lot of the sport and just how fans watch the sport as well. And I heard a lot of people talking about commentary. I don't think the commentary was biased at all. Number one, I watched the fight with no commentary because where I was, it was completely it was music playing and I could not hear the commentary. And I still thought Jan Blachowicz won that fight. I think a casual fan, no matter what, anybody can watch that with no commentary and could see that Jan won that fight. When I listened to it with commentary, I still don't think it was biased. And I'm a person that feels that sometimes these commentators can be biased. But if you're watching a guy with a style like Israel Adesanya, he's throwing crazy strikes. He's doing very different things. Jan is more in and out, hook. Keep it very basic, It's kind of hard to speak about those things, to be honest. And then how are you going to expect them to speak about Jan when he's on top of Israel? And he wasn't really doing anything until the end of that fifth round. He was throwing some strikes, some heavy strikes on top, but it took him a while to get there. So you can't expect these guys to have a different saying when they're broadcasting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was bad. I think it's just that I think a lot of people were surprised, especially because I felt there was an overwhelming amount of people that had picked Adesanya, and I think maybe they're just like, they're butthurt that they were wrong and everything like that. And this is the sport. I mean, obviously we're gonna go through that later. We had some incorrect picks for this weekend and everything like that, but I mean, people just need to move past their own vision and just see things with in a lot more objective way and more open-mindedness.
Absolutely. And after the fight, of course, tweeting during the fight, Jon Jones could not shut his mouth. My Lord, I'm telling you, I want to love Jon Jones so much, but he makes it so difficult to do that. Not that many guys speak on Jon Jones after he fights, especially his past two fights where some people believe that he didn't win. There weren't guys talking crap about him. They just felt that the other guy won the fight, but they weren't speaking bad about him. He's putting guys down as they are, in moments, where you lose, which Jon Jones has only experienced that once, and that was by disqualification. Nick, do you think it was right for Jon Jones to taunt Israel as he lost? And do you think he was doing that to still set up that matchup maybe later on down the road?
But he was absolutely doing it to try to set that matchup later down the road. But yeah, I think it's absolutely nonsensical of him to do that because, I mean, he hasn't fought since. Like you said, the last two fights against Dominick Cruzs and Thiago Santos, like a lot of people were critical about his performances there. I feel like had he finished strong in his last two fights, or maybe even his last fight, maybe he has some sort of right to speak like that. But I know that he's one of the greatest to ever do it. But I just feel that, like, when you are the greatest, I think it should also reflect who you are as a person and your behavior and everything. And that's why I like Khabib so much, because he's respect personified. So, you would think somebody like that, who should be an idol, who should be a role model for even the people who are the greats currently in this sport, I think that he should behave better. Of course, the chatting it up is going to present opportunities in the future. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know. I felt it was pretty immature, especially for the fact that, Adesanya showed a lot of balls to go up in a division, especially when he's just been dominating his, and give this a shot against somebody like Jan Blachowicz.
I think that I didn't get any less excited for Jon Jones versus Israel Adesanya. I still want to see that fight. I still would love to watch that. I think Israel Adesanya is a guy that adjusts very well when he makes mistakes in certain fights. So I think him going back up to 205 at some point in time, because I don't see anybody at 185 really beating him if I'm thinking about it. But I feel like eventually he's going to move up to 205, and he'll do it the proper way this time. I know he kept talking about the weight thing, and the weight was nothing. But yes, the weight is something. He couldn't get
Yeah,
up.
no, it was. I
He
think it was
couldn't move.
pivotal. I think it
Yeah,
was
couldn't
pivotal,
move. The
and
guy
probably
barely hurt himself.
the reason as to why he lost. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna be excited to see Jon Jones against Adesanya. Like, that's why I feel like, all this talk by Jon Jones, or at least all this disrespect, not so much talk, but disrespect is unnecessary, because people are gonna be excited without all that shit talking. Really.
Yeah, and I really didn't like that from Jon Jones. He's such. You want to be an honorable champion, but you just can't stop talking. You're still talking about Daniel Cormier. Now you won't stop the Israel Adesanya talk. Listen, man, we respect you as one of the greatest of all times, but in these moments, just watch and carry on and do what you got to do. You are a great father and a great husband to your wife and everything like that. But I think you should stay away from all the talk until that fight actually happens. And we'll wait for that coming up soon. But in the co-main event, we had Amanda Nunes take on Megan Anderson. And this was a fight that we were trying to make it some intrigue, because nobody thought that Megan Anderson could win. And unfortunately, she proved everybody correct. Her just walking into that cage, she just looked disheveled. She looked like she's seen a ghost. She looked like she was just like mentally maybe not ready to be there in that moment. This was maybe she felt that she was trying to save the women's featherweight division, which they keep talking about they're going to get rid of, or they might be staying. Who knows? But we don't really see anybody beating Amanda Nunes at this point. After that, anybody in that featherweight division beating Amanda Nunes after this point. But what did Amanda Nunes solidify in that fight to you, Nick?
That she's the best, and she's going to continue to be the best, and that there's nobody really that can I feel test her. I mean, I'd like to think that there would be, but it just seems that every time we think that we're going to see the end of Amanda Nunes, kind of like the way that we saw the end of Ronda Rousey, it just seems like we're never going to get to that point. I feel, and we mentioned this when we talked about her, many podcasts ago, many episodes ago, is that the only person I really see beating Amanda Nunes is retirement, and that's not even a defeat. That's just an acceptance of, what, I've accomplished everything that I wanted to. And I think that it's not even going to be a retirement in the sense of like, look, I can't do it anymore. I'm not as good as I used to be. I think it's just a sense of dominance that it's like, what am I doing here? Like I've done it all. I'm just going to keep, sweeping people up. It's like you said, Megan Anderson, she seemed pretty confident. I mean, not entirely confident, but pretty confident going into this fight. And then as soon as she stepped into that ring or started walking towards it, it's like you said, she looked shook. She looked like she had seen a ghost. Her eyes were wide open. Like, I can't believe this is about to happen. And I feel that everybody's going to really have that attitude towards Amanda. Maybe not before the fight, during the pressers and everything to sort of build up their confidence. But once you do step into that octagon with Amanda, I think it's the same way as you saw boxers, back in the 90s and the early 2000s against Mike Tyson, right? Just completely intimidated by that just incredible fighter that is probably one of the greatest of all times amongst women and men, in Amanda Nunes.
And Amanda Nunes doesn't even walk in there with any kind of a mean demeanor as well. She looks actually pretty happy and comfortable in there, which might be scary to the other fighter. Just like, man, is she not like nervous to be here? No, she's done that so many times. She's been in that octagon defending her belts, 2 belts, so many times. So this is nothing different for her. So maybe that can be intimidating as well. But from here, it's kind of rough for Megan Anderson, because we don't know where she's going to go, because there's not too many places with a women's featherweight division unless she moves up to 155 and tries to find the likes of like Kayla Harrison and PFL. I don't think any other organization has a featherweight division. Maybe Invicta, but I don't know how much she wants to go back down there. But Amanda Nunes is surrounded by so many great fighters. She's at American Top Team, so she gets really good bodies. I'm not sure what bodies Megan Anderson was getting down there with James Krause in Kansas, but it didn't seem like she was getting the work that she was supposed to, because as soon as she got jabbed, it was like a lot of people say, everybody has a plan until you get punched. She got jabbed and her leg was moving like spaghetti. So it shows you how hard Amanda can hit in that weight class. But she still has another belt in the women's bantamweight division. And somebody is doing crazy rounds of media and keeps calling her out. Oh, my God. Juliana Pena is somebody who doesn't really do media that often. And all of a sudden, I wake up one morning and I'm looking at a couple different MMA pages, MMA Fighting, MMA Junkie, ESPN MMA, and she's got an interview on every single one of these pages. Nick, do you think Juliana Pena deserves a title shot?
At this point, it's not. I don't even think it's about who's deserving. It's just like, you know, throw everything in the kitchen sink in there to see who is finally going to beat Amanda Nunes. So I mean, anybody really. Like, we're almost kind of at a loss for words for or a loss of names for who we're going to put up against Amanda Nunes that's actually going to be able to beat her. So I mean, so long as you're guessing, right? Because I think that's what it is. It's essentially a guessing game of who's going to finally dethrone Amanda, right? Why not throw in Pena in there? Why not throw in anybody else, right? I mean, I know that a lot of people like to see Valentina go back at it, but I mean, that's two fights already. That it's kind of like a Max Holloway, Volkanovski type of thing, where you want to see that third third matchup. But I mean, after two losses, it's kind of hard to justify that, right? At least from the UFC standpoint.
Juliana Pena, listen, I love it. I love it. Why not go after Nunes right now? Because Nunes didn't get scratched in that fight. There's plenty of time for Nunes to take this fight, even though she said she might need a little bit more time to cut to 135. But you're definitely going to fight an Amanda Nunes who's going to deal with a little bit of more condition. She has enough conditioning issues, but when she cuts down to 135, she tends to get tired faster. When she fought Valentina Shevchenko, she got tired faster. When she fought Jermaine Durandamy, she got tired faster. I know she got her record for takedowns, which was 8, but she still was looking a little bit more tired. I think Juliana Pena's tactic right now is pretty smart. She's not fighting Holly Holm anymore. Holly Holm is going to be out for a while with a kidney issue that she has to go through. She's okay, thank God. But Juliana Pena has nobody else to fight on top of that. So it makes a lot of sense for them to fight. And it's the only girl in that top 6, I want to say, that has not fought Amanda Nunes, and Amanda Nunes has not beaten. Who else is left? Do those media rounds. Get your name out there. Keep hitting up Dana White.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you could definitely sell yourself, and especially now when everybody has that recency bias of Amanda Nunes. I mean, you don't really need recency bias for Amanda Nunes, but you know, obviously people are talking about her a lot right now because of the way that she just performed this past weekend. Absolutely, expose yourself as much as possible, and yeah, I hope that she gets it because I mean, like I said, why not? Why not Pena? You know, and especially the fact that, like you mentioned, that they've never fought before, and you know, this could be a new test for Amanda.
And the Styles matchup, I love that Styles matchup because Juliana Pena is a pretty good wrestler. She can try to go for that takedown against Amanda. But do I see it going Pena's way? I don't know. And I that's what would make me want to watch it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know what's going to happen because she's a different kind of wrestler. I know Amanda has taken on wrestlers such as Misha Tate, Sarah McMahon, who she's defeated the same exact way with rear naked chokes. Juliana Pena has been submitted before by Jermaine Durandamy, who's somebody who's not the greatest person ground-wise or submission-wise. So it makes me get a little bit more nervous her fighting Amanda, but at least it's something different that we haven't seen before. And honestly, I think it's the last fight available for Amanda Nunes until Kayla Harrison decides that she wants to drop to 145 and come to the UFC. Besides that, I don't really see anybody else beating Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, me neither. I'll side with you on that.
And then we had probably the most notable fight on this card, which was controversial, a big disqualification decision here. Aljamain Sterling took off Peter Yan, and unfortunately, the fight ended in an illegal knee. Aljamain was going for a takedown. He was on his knees. Peter Yan was holding on to his head. The ref said to Peter Yan, "Hey, downed opponent." Peter Yan said he did not understand. He's like, "I'm in the heat of the moment. I don't really speak English that well. I didn't really hear him." We hear Peter Yan ask his corner, "What should I do?" And you hear something in Russian and you hear something in English. One guy says, "Hit him," which was his Brazilian coach, his jiu-jitsu coach. And the other guy, his other Russian coach, said something in Russian that I don't understand, but apparently it translated to, "Yes, throw, throw, throw." But I guess Peter Yan took that in the wrong way and ended up kneeing Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling goes down. A lot of people are complaining and saying all these things about Aljamain was acting. Listen, take a knee to the head, and we can see how you feel after you take a knee to the head. That's very, very dangerous. But Nick, you get kneed in the head. What are you doing? Even if maybe, let's say you're half there, what are you doing? You want to keep fighting, or you're gonna just, you know what? I'm gonna take my time, because people are forgetting that too. You get a whole fight to recover from something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's nonsense for people to think that Aljamain would go and act his way to a belt. I mean, especially after you saw the hit, we all saw the hit ourselves, right? I mean, he was wobbly, and people might want to, pin it on him acting it and everything like that. But like you said, you take a knee to the head like that, and especially from all people, Peter Yan, I mean, you're not going to be getting up. Like, I mean, some people wouldn't even survive that. So I think it's really almost disrespectful. I actually, not almost, is disrespectful for people to really be shaming Aljo, because it's not like Aljo asked for this anyways. It's not like Aljo asked for, oh, I hope that this fight goes into a DQ and that's how I get my belt. You could tell that he was crushed about it. You can tell that that's not the way that he wanted to win it. You could tell that he wasn't even on the way to winning this fight, and you know he could have perhaps gotten back late in the round and knocked him out, because we all thought. I mean, I thought that Aljo was going to win that fast, and Peter really surprised me with his performance. But a hit like that, I think it would be. Let's say that even if he did want to go through with it, right? I think it would have been irresponsible for the referee to continue, the referees, the doctors, UFC, to continue that fight after a hit like that.
Listen, I know a lot of people are talking crap about Aljamain Sterling, but if I'm Aljamain Sterling, I would milk it. I would milk it as much as possible, because what Peter Yan did was illegal. No matter what, it is illegal. You can't do that. You are a champion. You're supposed to know that. I'm milking that because now I'm going to become the champion. I don't care what anybody else has to say about me. I put in this work. I've been training for almost half a year for this title fight, and this guy throws an illegal strike. I will milk it, take that belt, take those pay-per-view points, and take everything that comes with being a UFC champion. I would take it. Everybody wants to talk, oh, it's not honorable, you did it this way. Who cares? He shouldn't care about that. I think Aljamain should embrace this role and go crazy with it, and he can even become a bigger fighter off of this. I think it would be a smart move, especially marketing-wise. I don't think Aljamain should go on this apology tour. There's no need for that. Peter Yan, if anything, should go on an apology tour, and I'm tired of seeing everybody saying that Aljamain's got to apologize. No, I disagree. I think he's a UFC bantamweight champion. I think he should walk around with that belt and hold that, because he wasn't the one that cheated.
But at the same time, do you really think that he, like, I'm not in disagreement with you saying that he should milk it. Do you think that he did milk it, because he shook legal hit? I don't think he's necessarily. Yes, he's milking. I guess, like, the fact that he has the belt now and everything, and as he should, right? Because it's not his fault that he got hit with an illegal hit. But do you think that he was acting, or did you have that perception of that perhaps he was, sort of stretching it out, the effect of that hit?
No, not at all. I think he got hit so clean that it actually, and he was tired too. You got to add that together, because he was slowing down a lot in that fourth round. Like, he almost was moving like a zombie, throwing these weird back fists, going for very lazy takedowns. And then you add a knee to the head directly, 100% he was feeling that. I don't think he was acting at all. I think he was confused. He doesn't even remember doing the interview after the fight. You can see it in his face. You can see it in his eyes. A lot of things he doesn't remember, because that can come from a possible concussion. And people forget this too. Concussions can be career enders, not in just that sport, but literally it can be career enders in any sport. There's been guys in the UFC who have literally not come back. Halsworth from the Team Alpha Male, TJ Grant, who was literally going to fight Benson Henderson for the light heavyweight championship, could not get past a concussion. It is a very scary thing, and you have to be very careful when it comes to that. And thank God for the ref, Mark Smith, I believe his name is, going back there after the fight and checking out Aljamain to see if he was okay. Now, I know it's going to be some intrigue with this fight. There's going to be a rematch. Definitely want to see a rematch. You think the UFC does that immediately, or TJ Dillashaw gets a shot, or Henry Cejudo gets a shot? You're Dana White. What are you doing, Nick?
I mean, you think Henry? First, let me start off by asking you: think that Cejudo would come back?
Do I think Cejudo would come back?
Yeah,
100%. I think he just literally needed a break from all forms of combat sports, because he's been doing this for such a long time, and he knows that he can come back and maybe dominate these guys or do whatever he can. And I think he did it for financial reasons. He thought he would get a bigger contract, and that didn't happen. And now, after a couple of years, listen, you need to make money. So yes, I do think Henry Cejudo is coming back.
that's true. Well, I mean, if you get somebody like Cejudo coming back, or even TJ, I don't know, because I think it kind of depends on a lot of things, but mainly I'm thinking about Aljo, right? I think Aljo really wants this rematch with Peter, because he wants to convince people that, I mean, if it's up to just Aljo, of course, and if they want to give him obviously some sort of courtesy or some say in the matter, but I think Aljo wants Peter back before anybody else, even before TJ, or even if Henry Cejudo came back, because he wants to prove like, hey, this wasn't a fluke. Like we all, if this fight had finished out to decision, I think we all could agree that Peter was going to win. But I mean, there's still no proof of that. Who's to say that Aljo wouldn't have submitted him in the last round or knocked him out or anything like that? So I think he wants to really prove that, like, look, I could beat this guy again if I had to go through it, right? But at the same time, he's probably going to make more money if it's somebody like a Henry Cejudo coming back, or even TJ that everybody's really been dying to see come back, especially given everything that he did, and people want to sort of see somebody like that, like in a way like that people saw like Barry Bonds and all that, like kind of they want to root for him to fail, right? They want to say like, okay, like he wasn't as good without that help and whatnot. So I think a lot of people would tune in for that as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that happen, a rematch. I think it will happen for sure. Henry Cejudo needs to either maybe go fight Volkanovski at 145 or go back to 125 and fight Figueiredo, because it's not happening right now. You're not coming back and just, I jump right back into a title shot. We respect you, of course, but that's not happening right now. We need to finish this fight, hopefully maybe in like June. Aljamain, take your time, make sure he doesn't have a concussion so he can come back full, healthy, 100%, and we can see that fight again. And I think it'd be even more intriguing the second time around, because both of these guys have been in there with each other now, and now they know the adjustments they need to make. So I think the second fight will definitely be more competitive than the first one. So that's going to be very interesting to see.
Did Aljo get a medical suspension like Adesanya did, or no?
Always. If you get a blow like that, yeah, you get automatic 90 days.
So that we probably won't see him until fall then, right?
No, because if he gets cleared, he can go right back. It's just an automatic suspension, but you can get cleared and you can fight in a month or two. Because remember, Michael Bisping got rocked pretty bad by GSP when they fought. He got a medical suspension, but he ended up getting cleared, and he fought Kelvin Gastelum 3 weeks later. So it's definitely possible for that to happen.
Yeah, I guess so. As long as you're showing signs of improvement, why not, right?
Yeah, hopefully in the summer we can see that fight happen again. But sticking in the bantamweight division, Dominick Cruzs got that win. First time in a long time Dominick Cruzs won a fight, I think since 2016, which is crazy to say, when he beat TJ Dillashaw. It's been a long time coming for Dominick Cruzs. And he took on Casey Kenny, a really good up-and-comer. He looked pretty good in the fight. Casey Kenny didn't look terrible in the fight, but he definitely looked like he was going against a former champion. The most important thing I feel that came out of this fight was Dominick Cruz's post-fight comments, which went against the rep for Monster Energy, Hans Molenkamp. Basically, Dominick Cruz feels that Hans Molenkamp has been bullying fighters to comment on his page, make these videos, and just to try to be the cool guy in MMA. And he feels that he shouldn't have to do that anymore just to make a dollar. This was, I feel, more like I don't want to say important, but people pay attention to this more than Dominick Cruz's win, unfortunately. So I feel like it was a little risky, Dominick Cruz bringing that up. But there was a video. Did you see that video that I sent you yesterday about Hans Molenkamp?
I did not. I hadn't seen it.
So it's basically a video showing Hans Molenkamp, who talked about he used to be a fighter and his record and his Muay Thai fights. And this guy shows a fight, Hans Molenkamp fighting like a 45-year-old and just like basically killing him in a cage, and then rolling with these other guys that like your Royce Gracie's, Jon Jones. But it's just proving that he's probably doing this and telling these guys, listen, if you don't do this for me, you're going to lose that sponsorship with Monster. Do you think the UFC should look into this because Monster is a big, sponsor for them, or should they just kind of brush it under the rug?
I mean, I don't know. You know what's funny is that I didn't even hear. I know that he said something because I saw Dana's reaction to it. But I didn't hear exactly what Dominick Cruz had said about it until now when you just told me. But I mean, the question I think always happens with UFC is not whether they should, but rather will they? And most of the time they won't, because if there's one thing that unfortunately I would say that UFC tries to protect more than their fighters is their money. And obviously, this is a big partnership that they have with UFC, and it's kind of sad to see that. I don't think that it's good for fighters like this to be able to shed the light, especially a fighter like Dominick Cruzs that has a big name and a big representation, especially as a commentator. But I can't realistically, I can't see UFC really getting involved, or if they do get involved, siding with the fighters rather than their sponsor.
Yeah, I think the UFC definitely would take action against this, especially because Dana White is not a big fan of Hans Molenkamp. Hans Molenkamp wrote a really long thing about how he introduced Rob Dyrdek and Black to Dana White, and Dana White commented on it, and it wasn't too nice of a thing. So Dominick Cruzs usually doesn't talk about something unless he really feels passionate about it. He doesn't bring up bullshit. He's very about his business, and he carries on, but he's always going to be honest as possible. That has to be one of the most transparent fighters you'll ever see, especially post-fight. He's always going to be there post-fight to speak, and he's always going to speak his mind. So I think the UFC will end up doing something. But Nick, let's go back into the fight. Do you think Dominick Cruzs can wiggle his way back up into title contention after his performance? Because now he's at number 9.
Yeah, I think he wiggles his way back. I mean, it had been such a long hiatus since he got a win. I picked Casey in this fight. I'm kind of glad I got that wrong though. After I realized that he was the one that made the comment, Anderson, so I wasn't too upset with getting this one wrong. But yeah, Dominick Cruzs, it's a step in the right direction, especially against somebody like Kenny, who had fought 4 times last year in 2020 and had won his last 3 fights going into this one. I think it's definitely, it's not going to happen overnight, but maybe 1 or 2 more fights, and then we're starting to look at him again, and perhaps him crawling back to that title contention.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope maybe who do you see him fighting next? What's your opinion? Who do you see fighting next? I have a really good one in my mind that I feel would be a really good matchup for him.
Shit, honestly, I'm on vacation mode. I wouldn't even be able to begin to tell you who he would fight next. Fuck. I mean,
I'll go first. I think a really good matchup for him to see where he's at for sure would be Pedro Munoz. I think that would be really good. Pedro Munoz is right there within like the top. What was that?
No. I'm saying go ahead. I was saying, yeah, Pedro. That'd be a good one. That'd be a nice another, not to say that it's a softball, but like another stepping stone, a stepping stone where you'd have to prove that, like, look, I can keep climbing further in this division, back to my glory.
Yeah, because I think right now the most important thing for Dom is to stay consistent and to stay active, because he can't keep going on these 3-5 years. I mean, it's not his fault because of injuries, but if he can be as active as possible, I feel like his body will react to it well too, and we'll see him maybe back in some kind of a title contention, because I don't see too many guys beating Dominick Cruzs that's not the champion. I think he can beat a lot of these guys that's up top, maybe a rematch of Cody Garbrandt. There's so many different things that we can see, and that bantamweight division is always going to be super fun to watch. But Nick, besides that, was there anybody else you want to talk about from that card, or any performance you saw in there you want to talk about, good or bad?
I'm trying to think. Like, well, I'm happy about Rakic. I'm happy about Rakic. I mean, I had picked him.
That fight was terrible. That was
a terrible. But I'm happy to
lackluster.
I'm happy that I did pick him, and then I'm also happy. I was actually really happy to see Islam proving that, like, a year off didn't really do anything bad for him. He really. And then I think it was pretty interesting to me how Drew Dober kind of tapped out there, because I feel that, I mean, obviously he looked like he was in tremendous pain and everything like that, but I think it was good on him. So those are one of those type of tap outs that I'm like, like what's the purpose of you getting hurt, right? If you know that you already lost the first 2 rounds and everything like that, just call it quits right now, and not take any further delays in your career or anything like that. So I thought that was really smart on him. But yeah, Islam looked really great. I think he's gonna create a lot of problems for people in this division going forth. I mean, people want to say he's the next Khabib, and perhaps Khabib will see that, but in due time, I don't think there's any sense in rushing him or anything like that into sort of putting that spotlight on him. Even though I think talent wise, I think he can live up to it.
I don't think Dober tapped because like he was like, I'm down or whatever. I think he was just getting smothered, and that was just like so super frustrating at that point to where you literally just can't breathe. And Islam is just that strong because he didn't even have that arm triangle choke on him fully. He had it from half guard. So that shows you how strong of a guy he is and how many things you have to worry about when fighting a guy like him. Because I don't think Drew Dober is a quitter. I think Drew Dober is a super
No,
strong,
not by
competitive guy.
not by any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But what I mean is just like you said, the frustration, right? I think it came from a
Mm-hmm.
point of frustration. It's just like Jesus Christ, like I can't get this guy off me and everything like that. And like I said, like sometimes I don't want to say quit, but sometimes you have to know like where you're at, right? Like I think he read that situation well. He's like, look, I'm not gonna come back from this. I'm not gonna be able to squeeze out a result here. So why get hurt in the process? Just learn from it and move on. And like you said, it was frustrating because how suffocating and smothering Islam was that entire fight from beginning to end.
I just think he couldn't breathe. I just think he couldn't breathe. Like honestly, I just don't think he couldn't breathe. Tired in that round, and then you just got this super strong Dagestani guy on top of you. He just probably couldn't breathe. I remember Shane Carwin losing to Brock Lesnar pretty much from the half guard position, and oh no, Brock Lesnar ended up getting on the other side, but Carwin was not doing okay. You can definitely see he was going through it from that position. So that's definitely a good example to look back on. But I definitely want to shout out Trevin Jones for a really good performance there. He started off that fight card hot with a good uppercut knockout, and you don't even see that too often. And Trevin Jones is a guy that came from the independence and trying to make his way up. Got a really good opportunity, and he's taking a lot of advantages of it. And I think he's going to be somebody to reckon with in that bantamweight division. I know he has a couple of losses, but that's when he was younger. I feel like he's getting better. He's training in different places. So Trevin Jones, I definitely have to shout him out. I think he's going to have a really good and prosperous UFC career, and he's definitely somebody we got to look at. But speaking of looking at things, we got a really good one this weekend. Finally, Leon Edwards is back. Maybe now let me knock on wood because Lord knows what happened in between that time.
Yeah, between now and this weekend, right?
But Leon Edwards is present here in America. He is here. If anything happens, at least he made it to America, and he can always get treatment for whatever that it is. But he doesn't have anything. I'm not breaking any news here. But right. Leon Edwards going against main event Mohamed Belal. Belal took this fight on a couple weeks' notice. I just want to say something before I give like any kind of prediction for this fight. I think it's super risky for Belal to take this fight after taking all those calf kicks. He was literally talking about this like, man, I didn't know you need calves to walk. I don't know how much he's recovered from that. So I feel like that's going to be a pretty big factor here. But Nick, if Edwards wins this fight, does he get a title shot? Because besides that, Usman is beating everybody ranked above and below Edwards. Does this warrant him a title shot? Because that'll be 9 in a row. And that's one of the records set in like UFC history for having in that like a second one, because Usman has 12 or 13, but Edwards would be next best with 9. You giving him a title shot after this performance, or would he need to fight somebody else to earn that?
I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, if he wins and he's third ranked and everything, the only place that I can really see him is go up, even if it is against Muhammad and Muhammad taking it on such late notice. But I know that there was also a huge hiatus. And I want to say that lately, like maybe at the beginning of last year, we were all like, playing the whole Carmen Sandiego, like where in the world is, is Edwards, but Leon Edwards. But I feel like the hiatus recently is just because they couldn't get a date with Hamzat, and Hamzat kept getting sick and everything like that with, obviously the side effects of COVID and who knows if something else came about. So I think his eagerness that he's shown recently should be enough to warrant, and of course, hand in hand with a win against Muhammad this weekend, a title fight against Usman, because like you said, Usman, he's already beaten all the other guys that are under him right now. And yeah, I mean, I personally would like to see him run it back against Masvidal with a proper camp and everything like that. But I don't know, man. These guys, like, I think it was Serge that said this. This is I don't know if it was you or Serge that said this. That this is like the most diva league, or maybe it was Aldrich.
Prima donnas.
Right, exactly. Prima donnas, like everything has to be like, with the right conditions and no compromise and everything like that. So, I mean, if you're going to continue being a prima donna and Edwards comes in and is willing to compromise and take that opportunity without having to be so ridiculous with his conditions, I think you got to give it to him.
So who do you got for this fight? Edwards or Muhammad? What happens?
I mean, Edwards hasn't fought in a very long time, but then like you said, Muhammad is he still feeling the effects from his last fight? So I think Edwards is going to come out and win this weekend. I think he wants to prove that, like, look, I've been gone for a while and everything like that, but I'm number 3 for a reason. And not only that, but like he's not going to get a title fight if he doesn't win. So he knows what's on the line. He knows what's on the line. He knows the score, and not only that, but he would be building upon a streak that's already really impressive. So I feel like they're not going to have no excuse not to give it to him. So that being said, and everything that's going for him, I think that he comes out with a win this weekend simply because of perhaps the confidence that is going to be able to carry him throughout this fight, the match this weekend, and bring him a win.
I'm going to ride with Leon Edwards. I think he's just a better fighter. I think he's good all around. I think he's probably even gotten better because he hasn't fought since 2019. And I don't think he was just sitting on his ass, not trying to get better in any capacity of the way. I love Bilal. I appreciate him for taking this fight in short notice, but it's a little bit too risky against a guy like Edwards, who's just too good. And I feel like Muhammad's body would have to be at 100% to fight a guy like Edwards. And a 5-round fight, not going to be easy. You got to train a lot for that. And Muhammad was talking about how he has to do video interviews and all these different things that is very distracting. And he didn't have enough time, to be completely honest. So I think Leon Edwards goes in there. I think he finishes him, and I think he gets a title shot after that. I'm giving him a title shot for sure. 9 wins. Edward, I know him and Kamaru has fought a long time ago, but they're two completely different fighters now, and I'd love to see that happen again. So for sure, hopefully he gets a title shot after that. But let's go over our records. We have to talk about that from this card. We have to put that out there. So you did pretty good here. Your record right now stands at, hold on.
I really am stupid for going all in on Megan.
3, 4. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You went 4 for 7. 4 for 7 out of the 7 choices. So your record right now is 4 and 3. I, on the other hand, went a whole 2 and 5. Unfortunately, I should have took freaking Amanda Nunes. I don't know why I knew that. That was like a given.
You know what I think? I think we were blinded by the almighty dollar, right? That money line. And let me say, I won't say how much I put on, but yeah, I like Serge said, I should have just brought a scratch off. I would have had a probably better chance of winning from there instead. But
pretty much.
But yeah, I think no, it was. So who did I pick? I mean, unfortunately, that was another fight that I was actually really heartbroken about. Was Joseph Benavidez against Askar Askarov. I wish we had gotten that one. Like I said, I wasn't too upset about Kenny losing, especially after his remarks about Megan. And not only that, but to see a comeback with Dominick Cruzs. I had picked Rakic, Islam,
Aljamain.
I got lucky with Aljamain because I honestly I think we both got lucky with Aljamain because you picked Aljamain too.
Yep.
So we got lucky with him with that.
I could have been sitting here 1 and 6, man.
Yeah, exactly. Had it not been for that knee, so thank you, Peter, because otherwise we would have had one less right prediction. Obviously, the Amanda Nunes and then Blachowicz. Yeah, like I'm. You know, what's the funny thing is that this had to be. That was the hardest pick for me because as much as I felt, as much as I my reasoning behind everything of why Blachowicz was going to win, the smaller cage, he's in his own environment, he's not moving up or anything or down like Adesanya was, but man, Adesanya just scares the living shit out of me. He seemed really really calm though about this. Like I'm not even talking about like the trash talk that usually comes with the Adesanya fight. Just like the music that he walked into, the his demeanor and everything like that. And I think it's good to obviously be calm, to be in a good mental place. But I felt like I kind of missed that spark that Adesanya usually brings.
Hey, 100 fights in, he probably just was super comfortable in that state of mind and just trying to be more zen, if anything. Maybe that's the style he was going for within that fight. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but he's going to learn from that mistake and go back to 185 and do amazing things, I'm sure. And I was going to say something about, and the Joseph Benavidez thing too. Guys, definitely tune into their podcast if you want to hear what he has to say post-fight. He definitely was talking about this, like, not being excited for the fight anymore. He wasn't pumped up. He didn't feel that urge that he used to have, which is probably very telling for where maybe his mind is on the sport right now. So that's definitely something everybody should watch on the Ben Alifi at Home podcast. It's really good. I think I'm going to post a clip from it later on my page just so everybody can hear what he had to say, because I feel like it was pretty important and how just vulnerable he was in that moment, and just he said everything that was on his mind, and he doesn't have to do that, but he definitely did that. So more kudos to Joe for talking about that. But
kudos to Megan too, because she had to work the rest of that night. Like
just knowing that
thing that broke my heart was, I mean, just seeing how supportive they are of each other, and how wonderful that is, and really like the blueprint couple that they are, right? I felt heartbroken for it, because another thing too was Askar missed his weight, right?
Yeah, that sucks too.
So 2 of the last 3 fights that Joseph has lost, right? It's been instances where his opponent has missed weight, right? Yep. And then on top of that, the fact that Megan had to go out throughout the rest of the night, the rest of the probably the biggest card that we're going to see for some time. Knowing how emotionally invested and she is and Joseph, like it was heartbreaking to see.
Yeah, super heartbreaking to see. Such an ideal couple that they have, and the love that they share with each other. It's so amazing. I love it. I honestly do. And I can listen to that podcast any single day. This is not a promotion, but this is something that's real that you guys should listen to, because some MMA fighters do not let you in on their lives like that. And they're very silent about stuff, and they're very outspoken. So something very cool to see and inspiring to hear, especially relationship-wise. So any of you ladies out there, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so matches to look forward to, Nick. What is one that you want to see that is coming up?
Finally looking forward to Thug Rose coming back.
The return.
The return of Thug Rose, and that it's official, because it's I feel like it's been more than enough. As much as I would have loved to see JJ come back and get that rematch, and I'm hoping that we will see JJ back sooner than later. I'm just glad that we finally have something solid, something concrete, because I felt that the planning of this fight, I mean, granted, I know obviously last year was something, biblical proportions, but I felt like the planning of this fight I'm surprised that it took this long, to say the least.
I am looking forward to the unofficial middleweight tournament. We got 3 middleweight fights coming up. We got Darren Till, Marvin Vettori. We got Kevin Holland and Derek Brunson, and we got Robert Whitaker taking on Elvino himself, Bodancina, Paulo Costa. So those 3 fights I'm definitely looking forward to, and I want to see who's gonna come out of that and possibly challenge Israel Adesanya for his title. Whoever has the most impressive performance, I feel that would fight Izzy, maybe in the summer, maybe in the fall, something like that. But we can definitely see his next challenger. And of course, I'm looking forward to the heavyweight title fight, Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic, because I want to see what adjustments Francis can make. And if Stipe wins this fight, we got to put him in the GOAT talk. I don't know why this doesn't happen. People talk about GOATs, and other people, they never bring up Stipe's name. This guy is beating the who's who, and in the hardest, possibly one of the hardest divisions you can fight in, and the heaviest hitting in the heavyweight division. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to big time.
And those for me, it's nuts. And another thing too is that this guy Borrachinha, he should change his name to Payasu after that excuse making of his last result against Adesanya. I mean, come on, really?
He can't stop. He literally cannot stop making excuses. It's the craziest thing, but eventually he'll.
You know what they say about excuses, right? Excuses are like assholes. Everyone has one, and they all stink.
Yeah, every single one that he's made has stunk up the room. But whatever, Paulo Costa, get over it, get past it. But guys, thank you so much, of course, for tuning in. We'll be back next week to preview next Saturday's card, which is a really good one. Of course, Brothers in Combat, that'll be next week. Just keep giving you more content every single day. More interviews, more MMA. It doesn't stop here. Nick is on vacay, and he's still on here. We never stop. Nick, anything you want to say to the people?
Nothing, man. Just keep your eyes peeled. This should be an exciting year for UFC, and we got two great cards coming up, 2 weekends in a row. So plenty to talk about.
See you guys soon. We'll see you guys next week. Next week, which is soon. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the fights on Saturday, and
There goes the technology. Oh, well. I guess I'll sign off for both of us. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Mystic Hour, Mystic Black, MMA. Don't forget to also check out Brothers in Combat. We'll see you guys next week. Are we still live?